Hello and good evening. Dead on 6:30 on Tuesday the 2nd of April, ready for the Sew with Trisha Group's April bag of the month, Ursula. So I already know that I won't be seeing any comments, hence the phone. Still got the old baby photo on there. So let's just see. Let's see where we can go. Oh, I'm here. That's excellent. No, I don't want search. That's it, I can see it there. Let's see if we can turn that down. That's it, we're on mute. Jolly good. So, I can see already Catherine's here. Hello. Jill and John, Vanessa, Sandra, Gita, Shirley, Caroline. And yes, it's raining. I can't believe it. You know, we haven't had a drop of rain all day. At 6:25, it decides it's going to rain. So I'm sorry about the background noise, but I've decided I want to be down in the daylight in the conservatory. And yeah, it's raining. So as long as it doesn't get any heavier, I'm sure you'll be able to hear me. Let's have a look. Caroline, Linda, Liz, Maureen, Pat, Virginia, hi Vanessa, Carol. Yes, it is raining, Catherine. First time today. Good evening, Leslie. We had a lovely Easter, thank you. Christine, Marion. Where is it all coming from? I really don't know. We just don't need any more. Hello Trisha, hello Josie, hello Patsy. Oh, that's lovely. I hope you went through the doorway rather than actual front door. Jolly good, I'm just being, what am I being? You know, something a tip. Hello Sue. Oh, that was somebody coming out the top. Hello Janet. It has been a lovely day and now it decides to rain. Hello Sue. Oh, Vanessa. Yes, I did see it. What did you say? I haven't had a chance to look. I tell you what I've been doing today. I think I will have some. End of. So I will get back to you. I've been writing the instructions. Now usually I have somebody who just looks over it for me, but I haven't this time. So there is a mistake. Only you need to double up quantities, and I'll tell you about that as we go. So, hello Anne, hello Alison. At least the potholes will be filled up, I know. Then you can't see them because you think it's just water, don't you? Oh, Jesus had rain all day. Well, I suppose I'm lucky then that I haven't. Hello Linda. Brenda, lovely. Yes, that's absolutely fine. I've got a couple of other. Sue, I need to get back to you. And Gita, I need to get back to you. And Vanessa. Honestly, sometimes there's so many things to do, but I will. Hello Sandra, hello Barbara, hello Jane. Yeah, you'll be watching live for a change. Hi Beverly, hello Christine, hello Tony. I wish the sun was still here, I really do. Hi Lindsay. Did notice that just Anne, so that's lovely. I will pop that down on the list. Judith. It's not actually raining very hard, it's just accentuated and by the conservatory roof makes it sound even louder. Oh, same with you Margaret. Oh dear. Hello Jill. Jill, I didn't send it through to you because it was just too late. I didn't finish it till about 4 o'clock. Naughty, naughty. Hello Yvonne, hello Lorraine. Raining in Kent as well. Hi Linda, hi Patricia. Hello Linda. Okay. So, as I say, there's no comments up there, but there is on my screen here. So, I won't beat about the bush because usually the bag demo takes a little bit longer. Because the bag, this sounds ridiculous, but because it's got two sides to it, I have done some little bits where there's two exactly the same, but I've left the vast majority to show you how to do. So you will have seen a picture already, and here we are. The bag is about, this is the Ursula bag. It's about 8 inches across, 6 to 7 inches tall, and about 3 inches wide. Crossbody as well, because I thought this would go nicely under your jacket and just hang around the waistline. So a little bit, what do I say? If you've made a backpack, because I keep thinking about a backpack, different one, similar construction and nice and easy to make. There's just one little bit towards the end that you might think, oh, how am I going to do this? Because do you know what? I thought, how am I going to do this? But I've got little ways to allow you to remember, and it's something we've said all the time about certain ways of doing things. If we always think the same way, when it comes to bits a little bit different, you can think this and it will all happen, it will work. So here is our bag. Let's just, hello Nikki, and Carolyn. I should have hung it up, shouldn't I? Let's just see. And there's Shirley. I know Nikki. I don't know where it all keeps coming from. Shirley used to have that noise on your conservatory, yeah. Well, thought about that, but a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago now, when we had those dreadful winds, the old conservatory roof was blown off. So it's only 2 to 3 years old, and I don't really feel as though I can get rid of it. Hello Elaine, hello Amanda. Oh good, I'm glad you like that. Done. Yeah, nice little holiday bag. You're just putting your phone, your lipstick, a little bit of perfume, you know. Hello Mavis, hello Janet, and Rosemary, and Angela, and Marilyn. Oh dear Marilyn. Oh well, at least you're here. Okay, let me just pop that there, then I can see. Now, you know I said to you the last time when I was making it, yesterday even, when we were doing the giveaway, I said I'd made my first one, however I'd forgotten something. So what I forgot to do was add the tabs. So, as it was going to be a bag, I wanted a tab on the end. I forgot to put my tabs in. I'd made them, but I forgot. So, I did think, actually, that's quite a nice little makeup bag, pouch of a sort. So if you don't want to put the tabs on, you could still use it as a little bag. Now I haven't lined it yet, but still a nice little bag. In actual fact, what I could do, now this time I've done it with a lining rather than binding the seams. So for those of you that have been making bags and pouches for a little while, perhaps you'd want to do it that way instead. But I thought, just for a change, we will do it fully lined, because we've done a lot of binding the edges on different things lately. And I thought sometimes you might get fed up with that, so we'll do something a little bit different. Hello Suzanne. Yes Suzanne, there's kits on the website. If you go into the Sew with Trisha group frequently, because I'm always putting posts up. If I put something new on the website, I will let you know in there, quite often in the Trisha Sews group. But yes, there's kits on the website. There is this kit in navy, but the one I'm going to demonstrate tonight is the black option. So I'm a bit hooked on navy, but that's what I thought I would do. Oh, thank you, Shirley, you've seen that. No binding, she says. Thank you, Joanna. Christine likes it too, lovely. Do you know, I thought that, Patricia, it is a little bit in style at the moment, isn't it? It's in fashion, rather. Hello, Janet. Lovely to see you over in France, I imagine. And hello, Patricia. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Jack. Lovely, I think I've caught up with you all now. It does make a very nice pouch. I thought that. I loved the shape. I mean, I've got some fairly similar, or I've got a pouch that has the zip going right from the top to the bottom. But, yeah, it's almost like a clock that could sit on a mantelpiece. I think I've got a clock like that sit on the mantelpiece, that's what I thought. But, yeah, Nice size. You can get plenty in it as well. Okay, let us begin. So, what do we need? So the files are in the group already. There is a discount code which is Ursula 10. So we called it the Ursula bag. And the code is Ursula 10, which will give you a 10% discount. I've got one at 20, less 2 is £18. So you've got, this is Moda fabric from One Fine Day, and we've got some of the canvas that I always use, same supplier, cotton canvas, lovely quality, and you've got all the bag hardware you need in there. And I've used fusible fleece, but you could, depending on your machine liking Styleville, you could use the foam one, Styleville, instead to give it even more shape. So see how you feel about that. I know some people say their machine doesn't like it. I don't have a problem myself, but I don't like to do things that will be a problem to you. So the fusible fleece is a good option. So what you're going to need, you've got 2 templates. Excuse me. You can see my cold has got a lot better from yesterday. Amazing, I am pleased. What you're going to need is the 2 templates. So there is one that is this shape, and you're going to need, this is the outer fabric, so you're going to need 2 that shape, you're going to need 2 in lining, and you're going to need 2 in your fusible fleece or whatever wadding you're going to use. I've already fused mine to the back, nice and straightforward. You're going to need 2 pieces of lining, there we go, there's my lining cut to shape, and then you're going to need the pocket pieces, so you're going to need 2 of these in the outer fabric, 2 in your wadding, which I already popped on the back there, and 2 in your lining. I've only got 1 here because I've used one already. So that's for your main pieces. You are going to need, let's get this here. So you're going to need a 10-inch zip. You're going to need 2 pieces of outer fabric to go at each side of the zip, and 2 pieces of lining fabric. So it's very similar for all the pieces. You're going to need 1 base piece in lining, wadding and outer fabric. Now this is where I have inadvertently left out. These are the side panels that go at the bottom of the zip. So let me just show you here. So there is my zip. These pieces are these pieces here. So you need 2 of those, 2 pieces of wadding, but you need 4 pieces of lining fabric, and I've only put 2. So you need 4 pieces of lining fabric. So I will either, if you've already downloaded the instructions, please alter yours. You need 4 pieces for the extension to the zips. But I'll change it on the PDF and put it up again for those of you that haven't already downloaded it. Ample time, we've got 4 weeks in April left, so it's not a rush like we have any other time. So you're going to need, so with the black, we're having bronze hardware. There are 2 D-rings, 2 swivel clasps, and a slider. I'm going to put the slider on the strap again. I know we did it last time, but I know sometimes some of you like a second time to have a look to see how to do it. And as soon as you've done 1 or 2 or 3, it's like, easy peasy, I can do this. Okay, and then you're going to need your width of fabric for the handle, and we are going to, with that, I've already cut off 2 pieces for tabs, and I'll show you how to put the tab on easily as well. So, shall we begin? Now, what should we do first of all? So first of all, I will just show you how I would, let's go down to the needle bed, if I can get here easily. Now I can't turn the light down on here, but but I don't think it's too bright anyway. So imagine this is your 4-inch width of fabric. I might have, I've got a little bit here. Okay. And I've got, is that a 4-inch width? Sorry, I've okay. Let's pop that back to where that came from. So here's a piece of fabric. Imagine this is extremely long. So you're going to take it to the ironing board and you're going to fold it in half, wrong sides together. Now it doesn't matter with this because it's the same on both sides. But we're going to fold it in half and press it. Then we open it out and fold this raw edge to the centre, to that crease that we've made in pressing. We're going to press that again. We're going to press the other side in to meet, not overlap. You want it to meet the other raw edge, then and press it, and then we're going to fold it in half and press that all again, making sure this open piece here where the folded edges are completely even. And then you're going to stitch, first of all, where this open end is, we're going to stitch down here, right down the edge, and then back up the other edge. And what you'll have is then this. You'll have your handle. Oh, there's Pat and Margot, jolly good, and Lynn. Love a light coloured lining fabric inside bags. You always seem to be looking for that. Yeah, it's nice to have black lining to go with the fabric, the outer fabric, but I totally agree. I have done it in the past, and it does look very neat, but a dark lining is hard to see in, isn't it? Especially if you're at a disco. How many discos do we go these days? Hi, Janet. And yeah, so lighter lining I thought would be a good idea. But you've got plenty of fabric, so there's no need to buy a kit unless you really, really want to. But in this kit, you've got some nice Macawa fabric as well. So that would be the first thing we would do. Well, I get that ready, the handle. And so what I'll do with the handle, I'll show you how to put here we are, all of the bits on here. So the first thing we are going to do is pop the we pop the slider on first of all. And the slider, I don't need the D-ring because that's going on my tab, isn't it? So we use, when we've got all these three to attach to it, I want to put the slider on the very first. So with our little bar in the middle, we're going to insert that end, one short end, and slot it over that bar in the middle, as you can see there. And we pull it through. Now it depends how wide your machine foot is, but I'm just going to take that over, fold that end back. Now if you've got a green machine, you can use rivets and they look lovely. And I perhaps should one day, but you haven't all got a green machine. So now I've folded that back so it's neat, and I'm going to stitch down here, pop that over there. So I'm going to put that under the needle. Let's see if we can come in a little bit closer there. And go through these layers. So I'm just going to go very slowly because it is fairly thick, and I'm just going to where the stitching is, and I went across and I reversed, and I'm just going to get these little bits of stitching away from there so that's nice and neat. There we go. So I have now attached my slider. So what we're going to do next is we are going to, at the other end of our strap, I'm going to feed on a swivel clasp. So we're just going to pop that on, and this can, if it's the wrong way round, which it could be, we can always twist it round anyway. But we do want the strap to be untwisted because we're going to feed it back through our slider. So let's just make sure, that's it, I've got that right. So I always keep the piece that I've stitched down here, the underside, so there's the right side, I feed it back so that my strap is going over the top of it. So that when it's together, although it's neat, that is on the inside. So I've now gone back into the slider, over the bit that we've already attached to it, and then we can, let's see, oh, I've got this the wrong way around, so I'm just going to, there we are, just going to turn that around so that now my swivel clasp is on correctly, and I can pull this. Can you see it? I'm just pulling it so I've got a length there. And then, so with the slider is facing up, I want to slot the other end into my other swivel clasp so that you've got that the right way round. So there's the top of my slider, and I've got the swivel clasp on there. So flip that over, turn a little bit back, like a little hem, hold that together. Let's just trim those little bits of threads off. There we go. Okay. Trim those threads off so they're not hanging there. I've neatened that up, so and then I'm just going to stitch across here as well. So under the needle, and nice and slowly, because there is of course a thickness, and then just reverse across there. And I stop, I come back again over that first row because that is near, so it stops in the centre. So just trim that away. A little bit of thread we can cut off there. There we go. So there is my end. There is my swivel there. There is my swivel there. So I've got it attached. So there's the slider, and there are my two swivel clasps, all finished, ready to complete the bag, because that's the last thing we'll add on to our bag. So while we are at it, before we've added those, we'd cut off a couple of inches of the bag handle, and all we're going to do here is slot our that end, or that small piece, the D-ring onto it, and I like to stitch just across here because it holds the D-ring in place. If you don't, it just moves up and down there. So I'm just going to put that under the machine here, as close as your foot will allow. So I'm going to do the same thing again, just go across and back and slot in the middle, and then we'll just trim that bit of thread off and that little bit at the back. So that's nice and neat. So now I've got two tabs that are going to go at the end of my zip, so I mustn't forget to do that. Oh, there's Marilyn. Hello Marilyn, and Hayes, and Eileen. Only just started, so don't worry. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's fine. Everybody's watching. Right, so the next thing we're going to do, I know what we'll do. We will make, this is a bit of preparation. We will make a bag front. Right, so there's one bag front. Got a nice bit of Macawa fabric here that's got a lovely, almost bronzy design on that black. I thought it would be quite sedate, quite elegant. It would have been very nice if it was gold, but it still looks really nice. So, what we need first of all, no, we don't need the gamma lining pieces. So first of all, this is how easy it is for making the pocket. I've already fused the fleece on the back. You could use felt if you wanted to, if you've got some 505 spray, just to adhere it to the back, or Thermolam would do well, give you a nice soft feel. It's the fusible fleece, just gives you a bit of body to it. So I'm going to take my lining piece and put that right sides together, line up that bottom edge, and if you cut them out accurately, it should fit. So you'll cut these pieces from the template, and then all we're going to do is stitch 1/4 inch seam allowance as usual. Oh, there's Joanne. Hello Joanne, don't worry. 1/4 inch seam allowance across this top slightly curved seam. So I'm using just a standard 2.5 mils stitch length, Nothing short and not a long stitch on this occasion. So I'm just going to stitch across there. Okay. And what I should have done was pop on my iron, set that heated up, and now what you can do, because that is a little bit of a curve, you can clip into here. I haven't got my best scissors here, but of all the scissors I have, can I find, I've probably got 24 pairs of scissors, I can't find any of them, so just clip into that curve just a little bit. I have got away without clipping at all, but it will give you a nice smooth edge. So while the iron's heating up, what we can do is just nail press along that curve, and then we're going to flip that over, and I'm going to press along that top edge to begin with, and as you press, what you're going to make sure is that the bottom of the lining comes down to the bottom of the lining so that it's all nicely lined up. So let's just bring this in just here. There we are. So the iron is ready. So I'm going to, now if you're doing it this way first of all, because I'm checking that it's lined up at the bottom, just make sure that you haven't got any exposed fleece wadding, because it's not going to like it. So I'm just pulling that little bit at the top. There we are, that's nicely aligned. Give that a press along there. Flip it over, because we don't want any of the lining showing under here, and give that another bit of a press there. Right, that's lovely. So we'll take that out of there and pop that back down. And then we're just going to do a little bit of top stitching. So I chose to do just 2 lines. So I'm going to do very close to the edge. So I'm using the inside edge of my foot, and just go around here nice and slowly, so that your stitching is nicely parallel to the edge of the fabric. So, you know, just to make a little feature. So I've done that little bit of stitching there. I'm now going to put the outside of my foot to my stitch line to give me a double line of stitching. And hopefully I'll stay parallel to that. And it just adds a little something easily. You could put a trim needle in, and then you would have the perfect stitching the whole way across. But just take, as I say, take it slowly, and you wouldn't know the difference. Okay, so I've done 2 rows of stitching, just because I can. Okay, so then we will bring in our, now I always go to have the curved piece wrong. This is the bottom of the bag, the straight edge. So what we're going to do now is place our pocket onto, and you see how that lines up perfectly? So that is against there. And now I'm going to stitch around the edge. I've called it basting or tacking. I just want it to hold together nicely. So about 1/8 of an inch in, not 1/4 of an inch, because then the stitching will go into the seam allowance. So I'm just going down those sides and along the bottom. You can pin it or clip it if you want to, but I think you'll be absolutely fine with this short distance to have no problems just stitching around here. So that's just holding those layers together. Now the next thing I want to do, you can leave your pocket in one piece, or I'm going to stitch down the middle. I did stitch down the middle on that one, can you see? Also add something to it. Or leave them both, or do one that's left wide, or one with the stitching down the middle. This one I'm going to do both. So you can draw yourself a line if you want to, or you can just eyeball it. So I just reversed at the top just to hold that nice and firmly. And then again, with the other one, I did a double line of stitching. So I'm just lining the inside of my foot with that inside line of stitching, and hopefully I'll get a nice straight parallel stitch. So this one is not, oh it worked, there we go. So that one's not as far apart. You see I've got a 1/4 inch apart there, but I've just kept that nice and simple. So we have 2 rows of stitching just for effect. You could put a lovely decorative stitch down there if you wanted to. Why not? The choice is absolutely yours. Okay, let's just trim those little bits away there. So now we have our front and our back of the bag. Nice and easy, wasn't it? So I'll set those aside and we'll work on the zip section now. Okay, so with the zip section, we do need to use our lining pieces as well. So I have my zip, I have my the pieces are going to go either side of the zip. So the zip's going to go in the middle, and these are our outer pieces. So we are going to put that to the side for a minute. We're going to place the zip. There's my zipper pull. It's going to go zipper pull down, and what I also tend to do is take out, or on one of them I have, take out the, let's see if I do it with my nail, I suppose. Take out this little metal piece, because you can so easily break your needle if you accidentally go over it. So let's just very carefully, I should have removed it before. There we are. So I'm just taking out, I'm going to move it the other way, I think. There we go. They are a little bit like hedgehog claws, I think. There we are. So I've taken that little bit of metal out of the end of my zip so that I've got no fear now of stitching over it. So I'm going to, there is my zip pull there. That's going to go face down onto this piece here. So I'm going to have it probably just over 1/4 inch away, not that much more. And I'm going to pop a pin just to hold that there, and I could put one in the middle as well. You can see the zip is slightly too long, but that's fine because we can trim that off. So having put, here is my outer fabric underneath, there's my black zip. I'm now going to take the lining fabric and place that right side down onto the zip. So we're making our zip sandwich. Okay. So pop the pin in there. Now, what I'm going to do, because I've got my pin holding those layers together, I can now actually undo the zip. We'll do it back up again, but just so that we can start easily. So I've undone my zip so that the pull is not in the way. You can pin all the way down here if you want to, but you know me, I like to line it up as I go. So let's just come in a little bit closer there. So I've got the edge of my zip lined up with the edge of my outer fabric. Get that out of the way there. And you can put your zipper foot on if that's what you use, or my foot on here is a fine width for it to just work instead of putting the zipper foot on. So I'm just lining my fabric up as I go. I'm at the point now where I can do my zip back up because that's out of the way. And then I'm going to take that pin out, just line that up, and then pop my lining fabric on the top. And I'm just holding my fingers down on the fabric, and that just holds it together. Because as we know, cotton is very forgiving, and the lining fabric always tends to stretch just that little bit. And we can always trim that away anyway. Okay, so there is our sandwich. We have our zip in the middle, we have our outer fabric here. So again, I am going to use I'm just going to press that back with my nails, flip it over so that the lining is underneath, and then we can push that back as well. And what I'm going to do, rather than keep bringing the iron in and out, I'm going to pop a pin just to hold that together, because what we're looking at doing is making sure the lining fabric lines up with the outer fabric. Okay, we're pulling it right back so that those edges meet. Otherwise we're going to get that pucker underneath. So pull that down and we'll put a pin, in there just to hold it out of the way while I do the other side of the zip. So with the, here's my, whoops, go back a little bit. Here is my zipper pull down here. So I'm going to take, we're working on the other side of the zip now. So I'm going to take my other outer piece and I'm going to line that up with the other side. So you should see exactly the same amount of zip tape above there, and it should line up with the other side there. So we can pop a pin in here, and then the lining fabric, because we're making that zip sandwich, goes underneath. So again, line that up with that short end. So I've lined that all up there, and I just take the pin out and put it back in so that it's holding that lining fabric to it as well. So there's our outer fabric, there's our zip, and there's our lining. So that is our zip sandwich again. My zip pull is in the way, so I'm going to pull that back just to start off with, and we'll take it over to the machine and do our first few stitches just so that holds together. Okay, so there's the outer, here's our zip. Make sure that is nicely lined up. So I've lined up with the lining, bring the outer fabric down, and we'll just do a short bit because the zip pull is here. So I'm lifting my presser foot and I'm just going to pull that past. So now I've got the whole length here. There's my lining fabric, lining my zip with it, like so. Outer fabric down on top, fingers on top there, and carry on stitching. And then I'm just lining them up down the bottom here, and outer fabric as well, fingers down. And as I say, you can pop some pins along there if it makes you feel more confident about using it. And there we have it again there. So I'm going to bring in, I'm going to press it this time. Let's bring in the, I'm just going to keep my movement down, that's down. Let's bring in the ironing board so that you can see how we press this. So I'm going to bring the lining fabric, I will just crease that open like that, and then let's bring the outer fabric over and just give that a press along there, like that. Perhaps we'll go over to the other side, to the wrong side. So I'm pressing it so that the lining fabric completely covers. So there is the wadding, and I want it to completely cover. I'm going to take these pins out now because I can see exactly now where I am going. So just push that along, and that's great. That's exactly, a bit's come out a bit, exactly how I want it to be. And there is the zip, nice and neat, ready for our next step. There's a little bit of excess fabric there, so we'll just trim that off in a moment. But I can push that out of the way again. So all we need to do now, let's just trim this little bit here, a little bit of lining, because it does stretch, it just does. So now I'm going to stitch along both sides of my zip. So along here, on each side, and we're going to do an extra bit of stitching as well, which is the belts and braces job. So again, I'm just lining the inside of my foot with where, just a little bit closer there. Okay, so the inside of my foot here is lined up with the seam there, just to one side of the zip. And because I've pressed it, I can see that my lining fabric is all lined up on this outside edge, which is exactly how I want it to be. So just go at your own speed, not too fast. So I've done along that side there, then flip it round, and we'll go along this side here. So, and I'm not looking at the needle, I'm looking at that inside edge of my machine foot, and that's giving me a nice straight line. Okay, so we have both sides done there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch around the whole way around the edge, and across here and down here, because I want it to make sure it all stays together. So again, 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and this just saves unpicking in the future when, so just move that little bit out of the way there. I don't want these pieces to come apart. Okay, one more, and then straight down. So if we do this little bit of stitching, it means that the lining, there's no reason that the lining should ever have to move or be or not stitched in where it should be. Okay, so that's what I've done. I've stitched all the way around those outer edges. Now is the next. So because I've also stitched there, I can trim away that excess zip. Okay, and this is where I need my tabs, a D-ring tab. So I'm going to place that on there, on the centre of the zip. And this is where, and I haven't got one, well yes I have actually. Let's see what I can find. Let's take that down. Binding clips are really good for this. And I have got a couple. I know they were holding something up, but here's a binding clip. And if we pop that on there, that's holding that one in place. And then similarly here, so because we've stitched across this end, that is nicely together. Might just trim that off just a little bit, just a tiny bit. Right, and then I'm just going to put that tab so centrally over where the zip is, so we can trim that neatly across there and pop our tab on. So I've got both of my tabs clipped in place. Now this is where we take our extension, our zip extension pieces. So we have 2 outer pieces and we have, well we've got 4, but we're going to use 2 lining pieces to begin with. Okay, so one at a time, one end, I'm going to place my extension piece on right sides together, outer fabric to outer fabric, and I've popped that on there. I'm going to take that off again and put that over the 2, and at the same time I'm going to put lining fabric right side facing up like that, take it off again, and there. So when we look at it, we've got our lining fabric facing up, then we've got our zip section with our tab and our outer fabric on the top. Okay, so now we're going to stitch across here, 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and very slowly, because there is, I'm going to take that off now and just hold that down, there is a bulky seam coming up, so just be careful across here because we have got that tab that we're sewing across also. Okay, so then we can open that up, move that slightly, And the lining piece here, we can open that out. So then here you can see lining fabric, and we are going to pull those together. So make sure we pull that away and line up our outer piece. So I'm going to put this clip on there just to hold it before I'm going to top stitch across here. Now on my sample I did 2 rows, so again fairly thick. You might not want to do this bit if your machine won't take it. So nice and slowly does it. You can see I'm doing that nice and slowly too. And straight across. And then I'm going to do a second row. So I'm going to use the edge of my foot lined up with that first row of stitching. Because I've done double on the other ones, I think it might just miss that double bit there. Oh no, that was no good, it pushed it off. Now that is not good at all. So that is going to have to come out. I'm going to leave it there for the minute, but I should take that out and just do one at the other end. So, next piece. We want to do the same at this end. So we have got our zip is open as well, which is good. We're going to take our outer fabric and align that here, right sides together, and keep that all lined up. And I'm going to put my lining fabric again, right side facing up, and we will pop the clip back on. And I'm going to do 1 1/4 inch seam across here. So we'll get that under the machine. I'm going to take that off, and as I say, go slowly over the tab, because there is a fair thickness there, but most machines will take that. So then we're going to pull the top piece open, like so. We can flip that over and pull that piece back, and make sure that this end matches. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that, and I've got that securely down, and then I'm just going to top stitch across here, just 1 row, and slowly across the tab there and straight over there. Okay, so we've got we've just got a single row there. I'm not going to go for the second row because that little bump is throwing off my second row. So I shall unpick that, but I haven't got a seam ripper to hand. So similarly to what we did before, belts and braces along here, I'm going to stitch around this edge to hold this together. So make sure that is nicely lined up. I'm going to go round the edge here, 1/8 of an inch in from the edge, just holding those layers together, and flip around here. You know, at the time, doing this now doesn't take very long at all, and it really is worth it, because there is nothing worse than getting to the end when everything's all stitched together. So I'm just going here as well, just making sure that's all nicely lined up, which it is. I'm going to have to do that with a little bit, trim that a little way. Then actually, there's a gap because the fabric has shifted, and you can see a hole, and there's a lot that needs to be unpicked to get to it. So that little bit of work now is so much better. Okay, so we have our piece here. As I say, I've got the zip undone a little bit because we will need to undo it at some point. So that's shifted over a little bit there, so I'm just going to trim that away, the tiniest little bit, which is not going to affect that at all. Right, so the next bit, here comes the bit where you think, oh, I don't know about this. What we need to do now is find the centre. Let's go down here. So there it is. I want to find the centre on each side here. So all I'm going to do is fold that. No, I'll fold it this way. So I'm folding it in half, lining up where the extension pieces are, so that I can find there is our halfway point, and you can pop a pin in there, which is right in the center, and similarly on this side. So just line those pieces up there, bring that to the center, and then right on the top here, put a pin. Now you could do a little nick out of there if you want to, but I've just kept pins. Okay, so there are my pins finding my halfway points. So what we also want to do is have our pins, put a pin halfway around this curved piece here. So again, we will fold this in half, line up that bottom edge, line up there, and there is our halfway point as well. So we'll put a pin in that one, and I'll do the same here, fold this one in half, line that bottom edge, and pull that round and find that halfway point. So we've got our measuring now. So one piece and one side. So what we're going to do, right sides together, and I'm going to line up this pin here with this pin here. So you can line those together like that, take one pin out, pop that pin back in, and you know that that is center to center. So we can now start popping this, pins, 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 as many pins as you would like. Okay, so I'm just curving the curved edge. There we go. I'm curving it around because we're doing a curved edge to a straight edge here. So I'm putting pins probably about every inch. There we go. And so I'll go a fair way, and then I'm going to take this bottom edge to the bottom edge here. And if we line that up, and then what we'll do, so make sure that lines up there, we will make sure that this part fits into this part here. So I might change where my pins are here. So I'll go up the straight part first, and we are. Just make sure it fits the whole way around. So straight, because it starts to curve here. So if we've got a little bit of excess, there we are. What you need to do, we'll take that one out. So you just give that a little, because that needs to go the whole, the outer edge, there we are, that's fitting nicely now, needs to fit around that curve. So if you do a little bit from the middle, and then a little bit from this straight edge, so we do the same here, and I do find it easier to put have the curved part on the top and put our pins in. So let's do that one there, and then, so I'm curving that around the straight, and the edges really must be aligned, otherwise what you'll find, so I'm going to take this part, the bottom part down now, line up that bottom corner, like so, and pop a pin in there, and then where we've got that straight, or fairly straight part, I'm just going to put a few pins in there first of all, before we start coming from the centre as well. So we'll go up to just about there, and then you'll find that it will fit perfectly. Let's just pull that over there. More pins the better, not usually something you hear me say, and then that is going to fit. And you see how that, when I just pull that a little bit, that fits really nicely. So just pop your pins in here. So I'll put one in there. And then because we've got that curved edge and the straight edge, there we are, put in there. They need to line up perfectly, and then it's exactly what you want. You want it to fit. Okay, so there we have all pinned, and now I'm going to stitch. Probably find it easiest to stitch this way. So I'm going to stitch the outer pieces underneath, and we can then, because I've opened the zip, we can flatten that down as we go. So let's take this under here. Now we're not going to start right at the bottom. We're going to start 1/4 inch up from the bottom, because I want to leave that last little bit loose for when we insert the base. So I'm just going to take that pin out because it's very near. There we go. And I'll just reverse, just a couple of stitches and reverse, and then you'll see that stitch line, and that is disappearing into my seam allowance. So again, just pull that, flatten this down as you, can't see that very well, can you? So flatten this straight bit, flatten it down, and just carry on round. And as I say, keep flattening that down. Take the pin out just before you get to it. And that's it. And we'll take that one out there. I can see that is lying nicely then. So there's a little bit of puckering there, purely because of the way I put the pins in. But once you smooth that out and flatten it down, there's a pin. And here too. And don't take your pins out too far in advance of stitching, otherwise it could shift. But I'm keeping the edge of the foot on the edge of the fabric and making sure it's still lined up. There's a pin, and coming around, and next pin, and we're coming to where it is sort of a straighter bit, if you like. Now in theory, so just flatten that down. The edge, I'm just going to pull that out because it's holding that bit up. The edge of where the pockets come to should be exactly the same on both sides. So again, I'm stopping 1/4 inch, there we are, from the edge. Okay, so at the bottom here, you can see I haven't, where's it easier to see there? I haven't stitched the whole way down. Similar to here, I haven't stitched the whole way down. That's going to help us with the, there we are. So you can have a look now and see how nicely that gusset is fixed in there. And you can have a look to see that it's all caught in, because the last thing you want is that it to be unstitched, but I think that looks fine. So we've done one side, now we need to do the second side. So let's take the second side here. Let's just go back a little bit to there. So here is our second side, and that is going to go on the top. Round edge, straight edge here at the bottom, round edge here. So again, we've got our pins for the centre. So we're going to put right sides together, right side to right side, and we are going to align those two pins. We're going to take one out and pop the other one back because we know that's in the centre. And we're going to start pinning again. So I like to, as I say, I like to hold it towards me like this. So I'm putting the curved edge around to the straight edge, and similarly here. And I tell you, it is well worth the preparation and the pinning. I'm just going to do a little bit going on in the other direction, because isn't it nice when you get it all done first time. And I mean, I'm hoping, because don't think that things don't go wrong for me, because they do now and again. Go through phases and you think, oh my goodness, what did I do? Okay, so I've still got these little flat bits here. So now I'm going to start from this bottom edge as well. Put that bottom one down there, line that up, and pin there, and just get these and see if we get to the point where this piece, yeah, that's going to fit in there nice. You can sort of feel when that is going to fit nicely around there. So again, pin, and don't skimp on your pinning. Don't think, oh yes, that fits nicely, I'm not going to pin anymore there. Just put just the same number, because it really does help having a plethora of pins in there. Okay, so we'll put one just there. And the pins do make it pucker a little bit. That was not quite, there we are. So just give that a little pull there. So if you do that, the straight bit at the bottom, and then move some of these other pins here if it's not quite right. So again here, I'm going around to this side, down to the bottom, line those points up and give it a pin in there. So we'll do these few pins up where the it's almost straight to straight, and then we will fit the rest of that curved edge in. So one more just here, and then here, there we are. We can see we've just got that little bit to go there. So that pocket is lining up the pocket top and the top of the extension. And there's just a little bit. I'm going to go back around this way now, just to get this to fit in there nicely, and then pin and pin, and we'll put one more in there. Why not? Let's just have a little bit more. So that side is all pinned in now, and again, I prefer to pin, to stitch. So we could just flatten that bit down, but to stitch onto what is the gusset. Okay, so I'm starting 1/4 of an inch up from that bottom edge. I know you probably won't be able to see very well here, so just reverse just to hold that, and then I'm coming around. Just see if we can come in a little bit better there. See, this is in the way here, but I'm coming around this piece here and up to where there's a pin. Just keep that nice and flat. It may be rippled here, but because we're 1/4 of an inch from the edge, it's not going to affect around the edge here. So just push that down and carry on round. You can keep pulling the zip piece out of the way. You just pull that out. Whoops, and put the pins in there. So just make sure it's still lining up, and that pin there, and here, and make sure your foot is still lined up with the edge of your fabric. And it's quite nice when you've got the pin cushion there. So I'm just going to flatten that bit down as well. And it's coming around, and the next little bit with a lumpy bit there, so just flatten that down, and there is the edge of our pocket, and just make sure that that still lines up nicely on the edge, and coming down that very last bit, and we're stopping 1/4 of an inch from the edge, so just a little reverse there to hold it. Okay. So, I'll just go back a little bit here just so that I can show you. So we've got both of our seams. Now at this point, it's a good idea to turn it to the right side just to check that everything is stitched. Okay, let's just push that seam out, push that around there, because the last thing you want is a bit of fabric showing here, and it's looking good. But as I said, that's why we did, got a little bit of a little pucker just there. I'll perhaps be able to press that out. There we are. There we are. Okay, that's it. So to my mind, that is looking pretty good. There's no gaps, there's no lining showing through, and that's because we did all that extra stitching to hold those layers together. So we can now turn that back to the wrong side. Okay, wrong side. Now we're going to take our base, and if we look at it, the base is going to go there. So easy peasy to add. Usually you think, oh, I don't like putting a base in. So what we're going to do, we're going to put this long edge here to this one, so we can just hold that against there and line that up the whole way across. So let's put a pin in here, and we can put a pin across here on the other side, and that fits perfectly. So we'll put a pin here, and we're going to do the similar thing again. We're going to start 1/4 of an inch from the end and sew up to 1/4 of an inch from the end. So align those raw edges there, and we will just start and stitch across here. So 1/4 of an inch, just make sure they're nicely aligned there, to 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Do a little reverse if you would like to. Okay, so there is one side. Open that out, and this is now going to go to this side. So again, align that edge. Let's put a pin in there, and then go across to the other side, and that should line up beautifully to there. And we'll put a pin here, and we're going to stitch 1/4 of an inch along here. We are going to start 1/4 of an inch in, like we have been doing, and pop some more pins along here if you want to, but I can see that, and I've got my fingers holding that down just so that's all aligned there, and right across to 1/4 of an inch from the other side. Let's just flip over a little bit. There we are, 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I have 2 pieces, 2 holes left in the bottom here, but those 2 sides are okay. Then we're going to go to this side, this short side, and what will happen is that fits beautifully, and all we're going to do is stitch across there. So if you want, you can put a pin there, but we're just going to stitch the whole way across this one because it's going to seal that seam. So let's just flatten that down, and as I say, 1/4 of an inch, and make sure those are all nicely aligned. And so I don't think you can see there, but we just stitch the whole way across there. And then similarly at this edge, just put your finger in there so that those pieces join up like that. I'm just going to put a clip on there, and then we will stitch the whole way across that short seam, and then we can turn it to the right side so that you can see that those gaps at the beginning have completely sealed where we'd left a little opening. So there we are. Now you're thinking it might look a little bit messy, but that's all going to be covered by the lining. So I'm just turning it to the right side, and the good thing is I didn't forget to put the tabs in. So let's just make sure those corners are stitched. As you can see, that's nicely stitched. And here as well. So we have our base. I just like to roll that and roll this one as well. There we go. And open that out and open that out. So we're looking not bad at all. Okay, needs a little bit of a press. A ham would be good to have to press this. So there is our basic. Okay, Jane. Right. So let's just zip this up just to have a look. So once that's given a nice press, not bad at all. So now we need to do the lining. Okay, so lining, 2 lining fabrics. And this is where we need the extra 2 of these pieces. So we'll do these pieces first. Oh, there's my base. So we need the base piece, but we need these 2 extension sides. So one thing we've got to do is just along a short edge, we're just going to fold about 1/4 inch back and stitch across there just to neaten. So I just folded 1/4 inch back to the wrong side, and similarly here we could press if we want to, or as I'm doing here, I'm just nail pressing that down. So I just stitch across there just to neaten that off. And that one also. Okay, so we've got those 2 there. So with our lining pieces, I'm going to we're working around the straight edge, the base, and I'm going to take my base piece and I'm going to line that up with the straight edge. So right across there, just line that up, and I'm going to leave a gap of about, say, 6 inches or so, 5-6 inches, like that. So I'm going to start 1/4 inch in again, 1/4 inch in, and then I'm going to stitch up to, because we're leaving a gap, I'm going to stitch up to that pin and stop. And then I'm going to go over to my next pin. I find it easier to leave the gap in the very first piece. So 1/4 inch from the end, absolutely fine. So I find it easier to leave my gap on the first piece I've sewn, and then I won't forget. So there is our gap. Probably need a little bit bigger gap than that, but we will do. Then I'm going to take my other piece, so we will open that base piece out. I'm going to take my other lining piece, pop that right sides together with the other side here, and line that at the bottom, like that. And this one I'm going to start 1/4 inch in, but I'm going to stitch the whole way to the other side and stop 1/4 inch in. Okay, so I stopped 1/4 inch in from that side. So we have our lining piece. Now this is where the pieces that we did to begin with come in. So the first piece, we're going to work on this short edge here. So right sides together, so that little bit is all nice and neat. Right sides together here, and we can pull down that 1/4 inch that we didn't stitch, and we can line that up with this other side as well, and we're going to stitch across here, starting 1/4 inch in, because that's going to help us to, when we do go up the sides. So I'm lining up just that bottom edge, 1/4 inch from the edge, and I have that little piece there. I'm going to do the same on the other side too. So right sides together. So there's our short edge here, is our piece which is not stitched, and similarly on the other side here, line those up. They will match because they're the same width, and I'm going to stitch the whole way, or no, I'm not going to stitch the whole way. I'm going to start 1/4 of an inch in, so pin this if you would like to. I'm being a bit lazy and not. Just line that up and stitch to within 1/4 of an inch from the end. Okay. So there we have our strange looking piece. Now these pieces need to join here. So all we're going to do is flip that around, and what you'll find, because we left this open, it meets really nicely. So we can just pull that down. That piece fits here. We can put a pin here, and we're going to join this side up here. So if you would like to pin all these, so this goes around there, because this is going to be the lining or partial lining, and all we're going to do, we're going to stitch up to where this end is here. So we're only going to stitch down that little bit, and then similarly on this side we're going to do exactly the same. Just pull that back, line that bottom edge up, and we'll put a pin down there and just align that around there. And we're going to do this on both sides. Okay, so we have our pins like so, and we will just go up to, as I say, that top bit there. So I'm just going to flatten that down so that I can go into that top edge there, and I'll just reverse there and just stitch it down to this bottom edge, taking the pins out as I go. Just pull away there, just so pull that out so that the edge matches, and we can just come right down to the bottom and trim. And then similarly here, just going to flatten. Now I'm going to start from that bottom edge. There is a preferred way. That's just how I'm starting down here. Let's just come back in. Whoops. So I'm starting at the bottom, coming up round where the pins are. Pull that round so it's making it, or it's aligning it with those outer edges. I'll just reverse there. So there is our first side, that little side piece. Whoops. There. So there is our, and then we're just going to do exactly the same with our piece here. So we're going to line that up at the bottom there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start from that piece, and then I'm going to stitch as I go and just move. I'm just making sure that the raw edges are aligned as I stitch. I would probably, for the first one, I would, oh, it's starting to rain a bit more now. I would pin, oh, there we go. So I'll start from this bottom edge here, and I'll put the, so I'm just lining that up, and I'm going to start right at the bottom, and then I'm just watching the edge of the fabric lining up with the edge of my curve. So just bring that round as it goes, and I'm just moving that out just so that the curve, and I'm not stretching that curve. This side would probably be better putting some pins in there, but I'm just making sure that the edge of the fabric is lined up. So there we have, whoops, sorry. there we have our lining piece. Can you see there? So there's our base. Here are our sides. And the sides only go to here because, as you realise, the inside of the zip part is already lined. So I'm going to take this one, the main bag, back to how it was. Okay, so we're going to have them both wrong sides facing out. So as I say, this is where usually, we're still going to say right sides together. Now that was the phrase that I was saying that you need to think about. So always right sides together. But we are starting with our main bag, wrong side showing, and the lining wrong sides. Can you see it's wrong sides? You can see all the raw edges. So what we need to do, this is where it's a little bit strange. This is the right side here. This is the right side here. So what we need to do first of all, we need to find this centre spot here. Okay, so I'm just going to fold like so. And this time I've lined the seams up, side seams, and I'm going to do a little clip there. And I'm going to do the same on this other side as well. So line that side seam up, find that centre. So there is the centre of our lining. Now what I didn't do, I need to find the centre here as well. So had I nicked this little bit here, I would have had that, wouldn't I? So I'm going to fold this just again. Okay, there. And just line that up, and I'm going to find me a pin. So I have put pins in, haven't I? But what I want to do is I want to if I'd have had marked it with a pen, or did a little incision like I have there. Right, so I've got a pin in both of those edges now, so I know where the centre is. So this is where, okay, if you look at it like this, you've got your main bag, you've got the zip here, and the opening. So the opening's here, the opening's here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this curve to this edge. This is the right side of the fabric. This is the right side because it's the lining. So we're going to place that to there and pin it. And we will do that first. But the other thing, on the other side, I've got my mark and I have my pin. Whoops, let's turn it this way. So we can put this one in at the same time. So that is the centre there. So if you look at it, it looks very, very strange, but think of it, outer bag out, the wrong side out, lining the wrong side out, and have it one facing the other, and then this is the right side facing the right side, and all we're going to do is pop this fabric with pins. We're going to line this up around here, and we're going to do another row of stitching to join the lining. And what you will find, where this side piece is here, it will come roughly about here, and so it will meet, and that's where we're going to stitch to. We're going to stitch from here right round to this other side here. So we'll just, if we line this one up first, let's just put this around here. So I would suggest pins to get this together. So pin here, whoops. And so again, making sure that the curve is going right onto the curve that is already there. And a pin every inch or so. And again, that's how. is coming, that is lining up just at the bottom there. And we will do a little bit of hand sewing just to keep that together. So I'm not going to pin that other side yet because it's easier. In fact, I'm going to take that pin out there and pop it back in so I know where my centre is, but it means that if I've kept that free, I can stitch this a lot more easily. So again, what we'll do actually, tuck it in there so you can't see. So again, I'm going to flatten that bit down and I'm going to stitch from this side and I'm going to stitch all around here, taking the pins out as we go. So, where are we? There we go. So there is our pin. So unfortunately it's a little bit, I don't know that you can see particularly well. Let's see if I can flatten that down and move around here. So I am just making sure that these edges, ow, I'm trying not to prick myself as well. Oops, this one, that's cutting the thread. Well, let's start again. So here we go, I'm keeping the edge of the foot lined up. There we are. So we're still doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So the stitching should just, let's just move that, should just go on top of each other. So let's keep that all, so just keep that nicely lined up and round to that last little bit here. So we are just going to go to where the top of that short edge is. Okay, so you can see that there. So I stitched all the way and I've only stitched, there is that side piece there. So now we can just take that back out and we can do exactly the same with the other side. So there's our curved edge there. Let's put, no, that way. Let's put the right side here to the right side there. So let's see where that notch is. There we go. So there is our first, oops. There is our first pin in there, and then it's probably easier to do it this way. So again, lining up that curve with the curve of the main bag, and pin and pin. So try not to stretch. You just need to make sure that that curve there is just coming around to that side there. And we'll stop just here, which is where the top of the short side piece. And I'm flattening the zip on the inside just so that I can get this curved edge to lay perfectly with the outer. So there we go. And there. And you see we've got that last little bit to go here. So that is just going to come around to there with a pin and down to there. So ladies, I hope you might have to take this in 2 parts, but concentration levels. So I'm starting here from this pin. See if we can bring that round there again. I'm trying to flatten this down so that you can see. I don't know how well, you probably can't, but there we go. So, right, we'll start at the top here. Just take the pin out just before you get to it. And there's a pin there. Round we go. Round we go. But believe you me, it is well worth it once it's made. And you know, to be honest, it's another technique to learn. The alternative, as I said, was to bind the seams, which you could do that. Go straight to the top. All done. All done. Now the thing is now, let's just come up a little bit further, is that I hope I have left, I hope I've left a big enough gap, and I don't think I have. So, not having a seam replica hand, oh, that's better. I'm just using, very naughtily, some scissors just to, that's it. I'm just opening my gap a little bit further. So there's the gap. I'm going to put my hand in. I know you might post it to me to finish off, will you? And now I'm just going to, through that gap, I'm going to pull the bag. Okay. So it's come through the gap. And now we need to pull it through. So, whoops. The open zip. Where are we? So there we are. So here it is. So we can pull that through, and there is our lining, which I'm not going to, just make sure that those corners there are, there's no gaps. Nope, no gaps, that's good. And I will need to stitch that, but for the moment I'm just going to tuck that in, push it down into those corners, like that, and then I'll show you what, pushing it down like that, and over that side, push those ones in too. It will be able, it will do with a good press as well. But what you have here, so inside here, you have got, can you see, here it's open, but we just need to pull that across and slip stitch that in place, and it will be very, very neat. I could put a pin across there for the moment. But then you have a totally lined, do the same with this other side here. There we go. Just makes it very, very neat. And if you don't like your binding, so there we are, can you see? Just put a pin there, but all that beautifully lined. Good old press. There we go. You get it now. There we are. And let's pop our, oh, it's giving me shoulder ache. We'll pop our bag handle on. Bag handle on. And there we have it. There we have it. As I say, just needs a good press, just to keep that all nicely smooth. But there is your bag. Okay. Oh, who's saying you're so clever, Janet? No. So there we have the black one, and there we have the blue one. So, you know, I should really, oh, it is, the black one's really quite classy, isn't it? And the other one's bright and fun. But yeah, oh, thank you, thank you. Martin said earlier, he said, how long are you going to be, do you know? And I said, the bag demo always takes a little bit longer. It was a long demo, wasn't it? But that's why I say perhaps you could do it in two sittings. The thing is, once you've done one, so once you've done the outer, you know how it goes, And then when you do the lining piece, it is slightly different because you don't need to do the whole lining from the zip edge. But it is quite straightforward in the end. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I really am. So, and it is just a lovely, oh, thank you, Linda. The size, the shape, let's do this one, it's easier. I've put something in there to make it a bit heavier. But the size is just so, let me just try it on. Well, you can't see it there, can you? But it is a good size. Not too big, not too small, and I think it would, let me just put it over, let's go this all the way down, that's it. So, there we are, I think that goes, yeah, you see, I would love that, that is just handy there. So, yeah, need to concentrate, yeah. You'll probably find some things wrong in it, Jill. But as I say, the only thing, I will, very, very short, I'm going to have something to eat first of all, but you will need 2 of those extension, zip extension, 4 rather, instead of 2. Looks like a designer bag, yeah. Okay, well I'm glad those of you watching have enjoyed what you've seen. As I say, the PDF is in the group. I will make a change to it because I know there is an error. Kits are on the website. I will put the black one on the website as well. The black one will come with the antique bronze bag hardware, it just goes so well. And the nickel, silver nickel for the navy one. There is a discount code, as I said, which is Ursula 10. And it's in the group, but please don't forget. So, I'm going to love you and leave you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm sorry about the rain. Fortunately, it wasn't too heavy to make horrendous noise. And it held off for a little while, didn't it? And when you're concentrating, who cares about the rain? So take care of yourselves. I will see you on Friday when I'm going to do the original bottle bag demonstration. And enjoy the week in between, and I'll see you then, 6:30 on the So Totally Trisha page. Enjoy your evening, and bye for now. Bye.